Hello, everybody. This is Phyllis Pieri, your franchise coach and a member of the Franchise Consulting Company. I have been in franchising for over 35 years. Today, I love being a franchise coach because I get to offer you a free service that discovers whether franchising is right for you. My flash briefing will be about franchising, franchise tips, and some motivation along the way. So let's get started. Let's talk about the investment that is required to open a franchise today. First of all, you need to understand that by law, the franchisor has listed the investment in its legal document under Item 7. By law, they have to give you the low and high of the investment. What does that really mean, Phyllis? Well, at the end of the year, before the franchisor submits its FDD, their federal disclosure document, they do an accounting of how much it costs to open their franchise units the year before. That way, you shouldn't have any surprises. It's interesting. People often talk about the legalities of franchising. And quite honestly, that's one of the things I really like about franchising is that you're not going to be walking into a bunch of surprises. At least legally, that's the way it's supposed to go if you work with the premier brands like I have. So included in your investment is usually the purchase costs, the opening inventory, if you have inventory, and your working capital. Now, if you have a retail location, you will also be looking at rent, leasehold improvements, permits, and some miscellaneous items that come along. The one thing we do know about retail, as much as we may love it, it does have its surprises. So we have to have a range. So in the franchise disclosure document under that item 7, remember I mentioned that it had the highs and lows? Well, most of the time that's because if it's a retail location, we don't really know what the tenant improvements are going to be when we first look at it. And of course, when they went back and did the audit, they saw that. So what the government said is they don't want you to have any big surprises. They want to have worst case scenario. So that's why that high figure is usually really high. Now, having a retail location will cost you more and also could make a long time for you to get your right location. So we will discuss this aspect in future flash briefings in more detail. But do know that it is going to take longer for you to get into a retail location than it would be like a service business, for instance. It's important that you have enough working capital so you don't run out of money before you break even. So let's talk about the investment ranges. This is one of the big preconceived notions that people have. They think, boy, franchising is going to be so expensive. Well, yes, it can be, but it doesn't have to be. You can get into a franchise for a total investment of $50,000. Now, this business will probably be home-based. You won't have a location. It probably won't have a lot of equipment to buy, obviously, for that investment. But when you realize the other thing I always like to tell people is if you have a home-based business, that doesn't mean somebody's coming to your house. What that really means is your home base is where you're going to work out of. You're going to spend most of your time out in the community. Being a action coach, for instance, which is a business coach and covers lots of different types of coaching, you're going to be out and about, joining the chamber, conducting workshops, all sorts of things, but it's a low investment. So when you get into our sweet spot, I'd say in the inventory that I have a portfolio of about 250 companies. Our sweet spot's about 125. It can get up to 500,000 or so, but I would say 125, 250 is pretty average. Now remember, that doesn't mean you're paying cash for any of this. I have financial partners who specialize in franchise business models. So you might be very surprised regarding the investment level you can afford. So thanks for listening. This is Phyllis Pieri, your franchise coach. Come back tomorrow to learn more about franchising. I would love a review of my Alexa if you'd like to give me one over on regarding the flash briefing, and then pop over to my website, www.yourfranchisecoach.com, and download the 5 mistakes that people make. I don't want you to avoid those, so check in with me so I can keep you educated about franchising. Have a great day. Bye-bye now. We'll see you tomorrow.